live. I didn't expect anyone to be here because I have a very small following, but maybe one day that will change, but we will see. I like it better this way anyway because I have anxiety, and if there was like one or two people in here and I'm like, oh my god. So I just wanted to go through my book. This was my very first actual book draft. You see all my markings in there and stuff. For the process of this and more drafts, like reading and then writing in it, scribbling in it, and then I need like a clear slate after editing and formatting. What do I like? Big size, which I didn't really like, but it was great for editing. And then I preferred the smaller kind of normal size book. I don't know, it's the size of my head. But yeah, so now today is the release day, June 30th, 2025. And it looks like this. It's the finished product. Overall, I am happy with it. Some minor things that I had no control over. It looks different on the computer, and then when it printed out every single time, like the alignment, is whatever. That's not the main thing. But basically, this book is based on a true story off of my life. I had always thought about writing a book, for a while, maybe about 5-6 years ago, during a major kind of event that kind of took me down like a psychosis journey, which that whole thing was a week-long, very interesting adventure. And you'll read about it, in the book. Like the second half pretty much starts really getting in there. Not everything is in this book. I didn't want to take away from, it seemed like too much, and so I might be adding other things that I left out of this book in the next book, because my writing tends to kind of jump around a little bit, like present and past. It kind of flows around. You have to really pay attention for chronological order. There is a section that is a little bit out of order, but at the end of the day, you might not catch it, which is fine. I am not a professional writer, but the feedback that I've gotten so far is that it's an interesting book, which is better than a boring book. And I've read my book so many times, which I kind of had to for the sake of editing. But I have to say that, I don't know if it's just me, because it's my story, but I found that I got sucked into it. Like the numerous times that I did read it, I just kept going, and the chapters are fairly short, so if you have like ADHD or your mind wanders a lot, hopefully it, holds your attention. This kind of taps into a variety of things like stress, normal life situations that we all go through, as well as some things of the past, like how I got started with fitness and kind of like obsessions with the scale in an unhealthy way ever since like elementary school and being in ballet for a long time, for many years. And as well as kind of becoming curious about bodybuilding, even though I didn't want to become a bodybuilder, and stuff like that, as well as people are in the chat. Oh, hi, nice to meet you. Yes, this is my backyard. It's actually my mom's backyard, because I had another life crisis back in like November, December, January, February, and March, which I'll probably write in the next book, because a lot of my, not a lot of my books, this is my first book, but it deals with life circumstances and how I personally push through change and overcome them. And hopefully you can learn something from my book. So I know on Amazon, it just came out today, if you don't already know. And if you can't find me because I'm not a popular person, you can search for the name of the book, or on my channel, if you click on my name at the bottom, I think you can see it. I can't see that. At the top of my channel, you'll see the description page and click on more. And then when you scroll down, you'll see a bunch of links on there. Okay, maybe I'll be popular. We'll see. I'm a very like an introvert. You know, I'm really good at staying inside and not going anywhere. So I'm always hiding, and I'm very I'm avoidant when speaking to people, but I'll respond, of course. So this is basically the book. I already showed it earlier when no one was in here. But yeah, these are the chapters, because I know on Amazon it does not give you any kind of preview in there. So pause, I think, on the live, it will, I think it will save all this stuff. So those are the chapters. Yeah. And so I don't know, maybe in the future I will kind of do a little bit more lives, but based on relationship questions or self-awareness, self-esteem, developing things like that. I am a personal trainer. That is my main job that I survive on. Oh, thank you. I hope I don't disappoint. So, so give me 5 stars. And so maybe in the future, this will develop into something else, like wellness, basically, because I don't like to dissect myself in a way that I'm just good at one thing. I like a variety of things, otherwise I get really, really bored. So I'm into personal training, nutrition. I have, I've done 2 bodybuilding shows, figure bodybuilding shows, but not pro. I didn't make it that far, but I did place in both of them. And I had no intention of going pro because of the lifestyle, and I love to eat. So I just like to learn through going through things on my own. And if you're into human design, I am a 1-3 generator, and that really fits the description of myself, the 1-3 line. And so by going through these experiences, I tend to write my feelings out more, and in a way that I try to teach. So hopefully it's entertaining. So yeah, I guess just for fun, I'll read the introduction and the prologue, which is really short, and maybe 1 poem. There's a mixture of poems in here. So I'm going to start the introduction. So as you read, my memories may jump around, as this has been 37 years in the making. I can recall many significant events that have been big lessons in my life journey. Some may seem light and trivial, as we all go through a relatable experience. I only add these as they have recently accelerated a part of this strange push of letting go of an old version of myself. I am now ready to take a new leap that I've grown to feel confident in, even if uncertain. The power of human emotion is remarkable. It has to do amazing ways. It can also cause us to do the most horrifying of actions. Pleasant, content feelings of comfort can make us stagnant and sometimes ambivalent. There is a pressure created that embarks sparks of great movement. Without this pressure, there would be no evolution. That has been a part of survival, to feel stressed and pressured to plan accordingly to prevent being killed. Creation, collaboration, and cooperation to avoid being killed by other living beings in Mother Nature. There will be a few mundane chapters as well as more exciting ones, as I know a great majority may or may not experience something similar. Allow yourself to pretend you are in my shoes. When we are more empathetic, we can help emotionally regulate ourselves so as not to create new problems that didn't have to exist. It would give us more mental space and patience not to think or act arrogantly. You may keep your views and opinions, as I have no intention of changing them, and I can't force them onto you. However, with other people's stories and perspectives, you may find new insights or ways of thinking you may not have before. You may also feel heard and more connected within the various chapters, as many people tend to keep a mask to the outside world for their survival. And then a disclaimer, the title of this book has the word triggered in it. Although my perspective of life was not necessarily the level of triggering that requires therapies such as EMDR, which is a therapy for trauma. So with that in mind, if you are still sensitive to some deep, vulnerable, and unhealed parts of yourself you would not want to or not ready to read, there is the potential that even one sentence in this book could bring back uncomfortable thoughts or memories you may or may not fully have healed from. If you still have side effects from reading, it is a sign that you may not be as healed as you thought. So read with your own discernment. You always have a choice to read the chapters or to discontinue. And I don't think it's that intense or gory or anything like that. So, oh, cool. We wait one suggestions here. Oh, I don't understand. And then the prologue. Hopefully you can get the book in India. You have to think. Huh. Oh, okay. So you can get the ebook in India, Amazon India. You have to check. I had to find the correct one for France for my aunt in France, and I was able to find it. It should be available to most Amazon international places. So we're gonna have to launch ebook. Yeah, I have the Kindle version. So yeah. So the prologue, the light you can't see. Life doesn't hand you a roadmap, just a flashlight strapped to your forehead. You move forward one step at a time, barely able to see past your feet. The beam only lights up the path directly ahead, revealing only what's next. Everything else, past wounds, future turns, invisible crossroads, remains shrouded in shadow until you collide with it or choose to face it. There's no pause, no rewind, no reset, just continuous movement. And every step you take, whether out of love, fear, habit, or rebellion, shapes the path that you're on. For a long time, I believed I was walking with direction. In reality, I was repeating, mirroring old beliefs, inherited behaviors, and silent wounds I hadn't yet recognized as my own. I followed what looked like love, chose what seemed normal, and made decisions that didn't disturb the status quo. But those choices weren't rooted in truth. Those were rooted in a deep, unconscious need to feel safe, valued, and chosen, even if it meant subtly controlling my environment, my emotions, and the ways others saw. Ooh. When the relationship I clung to collapsed, so did the fragile structure of my identity. What followed was not just heartbreak, it was a week-long spiral into psychosis. On the surface, it may have looked like a mental breakdown, but on the inside, it was an awakening. A forced excavation of everything I had buried beneath my surface persona. I didn't lose myself in that week, I met myself. Fragmented, overstimulated, raw, but for the first time, real. Somewhere in that chaotic reorientation, I reached for the only map I had left, my natal chart. Astrology wasn't just curiosity, it became a compass. Each placement, each aspect revealed another piece of the puzzle I had been living unconsciously. My chart didn't give me answers, but it gave me language, symbols, patterns. It showed me the energetic blueprint I was born with, the cards I had been dealt with in this lifetime. And in decoding that map, I began to understand why I made the choices I did, why I attracted certain dynamics, and where I was being asked to evolve. This book does not include everything. There are pieces I've chosen to withhold, not because they aren't true or important, but because timing matters. There are stories that, if told too soon, could distract from the deeper current I'm trying to follow here. Some truths arrive before people are ready to receive them. Some doors shouldn't be opened all at once. Maybe I'll return to those parts in another book. Or maybe they'll find their way into the collective when the timing is aligned and the stars quite literally have shifted. If you find the chapters disjointed at times or non-linear, that too is intentional. Healing is rarely linear. Memories don't return in order. Realizations come at 2 a.m., not on schedule. Our connections, both human and cosmic, are tangled webs, not timelines. This book reflects that fragmented beauty. What feels confusing now may click into place later. That's how inner work tends to unfold. Astrology teaches us that too. Each transit reveals something new when we're finally ready to see it. And as the stars continue moving, birthing a new collective timeline, maybe more of what's hidden will finally make sense, not just to me, but to all of us. This is not a polished story, but it is a living one, breathing, becoming just like we are. So that is the prologue. And so I'll just read one little poem thingy, and then kind of call it the end. So the divide. So I inserted some poems that randomly I would just write in my notes section of my phone randomly when I couldn't sleep, because that's when things tend to happen for me. And then, or when I'm like troubled in my mind, like I'll let it out through writing usually. I'm not someone who typically gets angry. I don't get angry, but I get frustrated and irritated at things. And so one way that I release is working out or writing. So this is divide. Keep watching the opposing sides. You will notice what they tend to view, as well as what they withhold or hide. Sometimes they are simply blind. Eventually you'll find, at their baseline, they want the same, leaning too far to one side. We automatically exclude the other, creating a loop of prolonged division. Conflict seems to always survive. So yeah. So that's it. Thank you for joining me, my one, maybe two people in here. Hopefully, I think the live will save, and this will be like a testimony of how far I've come if I actually, grow even more and more. And the numbers in this little live chat box is way more than one or two. So thank you for being the first to be here. And yeah, all of my process tends to be my process for everything in my life. I tend to think about it for a while, start researching about it, and eventually I'm ready to actually take action. That tends to be the process that I follow, and it's always worked for me. And the hardest part I find for people that do not, follow what they actually want for their short and long-term goals is that they don't actually take action. It's too intimidating. It's scary. They don't know what they're doing. I see this in the gym all the time. And I used to be someone also that I didn't know what I was doing. I had 16 years worth of ballet, and luckily I know movement, but I didn't know anything about the gym and weights, and it's intimidating, and people look better than you, and you want to wear baggy clothes in the beginning. And luckily we had the internet. And so I started researching on YouTube. If anyone knows how to manipulate the body, who are those people? And it's bodybuilders, even though I didn't want to necessarily look like a bodybuilder, but I started learning what they did. And I knew that was the direction I wanted to head towards, even though that's not the final goal. So that's kind of how I started with that. That's how I started with photography. That's how I started with mental health counseling through like real life situations. And then I take enough of an interest into it that it becomes a hobby, and then it becomes a way of, how I make a living. And then I thought about a book, because there's that, ability now to self-publish a book, because if that was not an option, I probably wouldn't be able to do that. So so in today's time, try to live, do what you really care about and what you're passionate about. And so this way you don't have regrets later. So that's my book. Please, promote or, whatever. So thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, bye.